Hi guys. Morning.
Good morning,
evening.
everybody. How are you? Great to be with you today.
So this is Pete.
Hi there.
Okay, so I thought that it would be a good idea to hi, welcome, come in. Hello, hi Johnny. Johnny is from Pupa School in Jakarta.
Lovely, yes.
Yeah, he's my awesome partner. Hi Melanie, how are you? Come in. Hi Amanda.
Autism Grandma, I've heard a lot about you.
Melanie, her name is Melanie. She's my friend.
Yeah.
She's so awesome. Yeah, so come in. So today, I had a question from a follower about headbanging, and so we want to talk about that. It's actually a good topic because our son used to headbang. So I will let Pete describe how he was.
Well, this was from a very early age, and it was something that was, from the time he was like 3 to 5 months old is when we first started seeing it. It manifested itself primarily when he was really anxious or angry about something. The poor little guy was crawling across the floor, and if something angered him, something frustrated him, he would just immediately start tapping his head on the floor as he crawled along, and this eventually sort of evolved into a regular thing for him. He would, just periodically at the dining room table, just slowly start banging his head on the table. It was, not out of frustration or anger at this time, but just out of, a little bit of self-regulation.
Yeah, and before bedtime.
Before bedtime, we found out we'd be sitting, we'd put him to bed, put him down, and, read to him. And then, from the other room, after we left him, we'd go to the other room and, periodically just hear as he knocked his head on the wall. We check, the first few times we check on him, but no, he was fine. And, it was just something he needed to do to sort of get out some anxiety, get out some of that extra energy.
So I thought that it would be a good idea to kind of decode this headbanging behavior. It's actually not a behavior. So from the sensory point of view, I think what the kids really like is that rhythm of that repetition, the motion of doing it. So when you see your kids doing it like over and over and there's nothing going on, meaning there's no demands placed on them, like Colin was doing it to put himself to bed. So the function might be to self-regulate, and that's one of the ways that they do it. So if they have a hard day, that might be a way for them to self-regulate, to let some steam out. So I think that's one function. So if your kid does that, I would say Colin had like a lot of stuffies on his bed. So we would although, I think you could put a helmet on them and make sure the environment is safe. But I think what they're seeking is that hard, right?
Yeah, I think
they want that hard.
And it's a certain sensation or feeling they get out of that gives them some satisfaction. Again, you can do the helmet. You can sort of redirect towards the stuffies or a medicine ball or something a little more substantial.
Yeah.
It does have to have the right texture. We noticed with Colin.
Yeah.
We have wood floors in our house, which are make a satisfying boom when you put your head against it. And we found out any other type of surface, he would obviously, like a marble floor at the mall. We wouldn't see that behavior. A few times we saw him bang his head against walls, and that again had that satisfying component to it.
Right. So if it's sensory related, then make sure you fulfill that. So I think it's a good idea to actually do like a simple data taking. If you have this problem at home, it doesn't have to be headbanging. It could be other things, other self-stim behaviors that make you worry, whatever that may be. Hand flapping is not so worrisome, but head banging, because of course we don't want our kids to get hurt. But take data to see if it occurs throughout the day without demands placed. It's probably, so somebody is saying that rocking it's yeah, so there's that rhythmic movement. It's self-soothing, so the purpose is to self-soothe. Now my follower did say that their son actually would headbang as a protest, so our
Yes,
son
yeah.
did that too.
There was certainly an element of the protest. Yeah, that was certainly a way to register his, pre-verbal. He was anytime before age 2.5 or so. He went with. He would just, that was his way of registering his unhappiness, his defiance against whatever limit we were setting at the moment.
So we never stop him. So if he was protesting, I don't think we.
No, he knew. He never did it. It was not self-injurious behavior at all. It was strictly communication for him.
Because he would do it and then look at, he would do it and then look at us.
He would
Are you
reference
paying
immediately.
attention to us, to me? So that's the function, is to protest.
So because of that, we did not make it a point to stop him or intervene in any way. We let him do it. He would experiment with different surfaces, like we said, the marble floor at the mall. He learned pretty quickly not to bang his head there.
Yeah.
So it's clearly a form of communication. Now, that is not true with all kids.
Right.
And that is something we have to address separately.
Yeah, so, and then I think in terms of other kinds of functions, so we talk about for self-soothe and to communicate. So I don't know if you guys have, hey Daniel, does look have any other function other than sensory and to communicate his frustration? I think there's just basically those two functions.
I think those are the primary functions we've seen.
Yeah. So let's talk about some ideas or tips. So every family is different. So if you see that the headbanging happens at the end of the day, it's probably because the child needs to just self-regulate. This child is telling you, well, my day was really, really hard. I just need to do this to self-soothe. So I think the best way we can do is, one is to acknowledge, make sure the environment is safe, and to acknowledge. So if you see the headbanging to happen, I would come close to the child and with a soothing face and be able to say, I know you had a hard day, so you have to do this, and really encourage it, actually smile. And so to know that I'm here for you because you had a hard day, so I'm here for you, and just be present. So a lot of times our presence actually makes a big difference. So don't shame them, don't have a big reaction. So just be there emotionally for them. Try to connect. So
be empathetic. As she said, get close and make a couple of declarative observations. Oh boy, it sounds like you're really having a tough time with something, or just sharing, your empathy, showing them that you do appreciate, the angst they're feeling right in the moment, and also, that by verbalizing that, you're giving them a little bit of a model of self-expression, of how to express that anxiety in another way, and they'll eventually start to pick up on that, hopefully, and start expressing to you, Mom, I'm really angry about what just happened. And ultimately they may learn.
Right. So let's talk about evening routine. So first you acknowledge, and then it's really helpful if the headbanging happens in the evening time, you want to create an option, like other options. So create evening routines, including bedtime routines. So warm bath. We read a ton to our son when he was younger, but not just reading. You want to talk about our reading routine when the kids were younger?
First of all, the routines we prescribe are typical to are very similar to what we took for sleep issues. Again, getting towards the end of the day, late afternoon, kids are starting to get tired, they're starting to get worn out, but they're also still have a lot of energy. So when they try to go to bed, as we mentioned, we do recommend getting a little bit of exercise before dinner. If you can get, dads, if you can hop on the bike with your child, ride up
Or
and
take a
down the
walk.
neighborhood for a while, or just to walk around the neighborhood is simple
Mm-hmm.
enough. A little something before the meal. After dinner, try to minimize the amount of screen they have, because that light, that activity, it really stimulates the brain.
Yeah, that
and
makes it worse.
triggers a lot of
Right.
anxious reactions. And again, the reading is sort of it's a dial down. It's cuddling up in the bed with them. Picking a favorite book.
Yeah.
Not forcing them to read along with you, but
Right.
you just simply read to them. Make some observations about the story, and
Yeah.
without expecting a response.
So let's talk about the reading. So you want to engage with them during the reading time. This is hard for parents also, because at the end of the day, we just want, if they bring us a book, we want to just read it and get it over with as quickly as possible. Well, Pete was really, really good at doing reading in a much more interactive and engaging way. That's the key word here. So the way to do this is to not just use books. You can use photos. You can use like the catalog from Toys R Us, or it could be anything. So vary your reading materials, because then that would give them something different to think about. Now, don't just read the words, because a lot of times our kids want us to read in a certain way, and that's them wanting to control that static elements of it. So that's not really engaging them and helping them to use their prefrontal cortex. So I think that the way you read in a different way. So for example, you can change the character's name. You can use gestures. So you read about a book about animals, you can use gestures. But I'm not saying that talk a lot. If you talk a lot, that becomes overwhelming. Just use your soothing tone of voice, so that create a contrast, lower your tone of voice, pacing it slowly. Use gestures so they can actually, their brain can actually shift from the book to you as the partner. So you want to offer invitations for them to connect with you, and offer ways in a safe way that they can connect with you. Their mind and also their body. So giving them a chance to do mind-body connection one more time before they go to bed. So if you guys have reading as an end of the day activity, I think it will be awesome. So you also use pauses. So you might say, look, it's a giraffe. Pause. So the pauses, it's really helpful for you to gauge, are they understanding this or not, but also for them to process. So as they're processing, they're integrating all the information. So okay, is there anything else that I missed in terms of the reading? I think we talked about that.
I think that's the key points to remember right there is just, as Macy said, make it interactive, make it engaging, and help them just help ease them down.
Right, exactly. It's like giving them a brain exercise before bedtime to kind of slow them down, and hopefully they will that would fulfill their need to self-regulate.
Yeah.
So co-regulation is a very important developmental foundation that happens between babies and their parents very, very early on. But if you have a brain that is a little bit different, that affects the development of that co-regulation. So if our young kids are not able to co-regulate means when two people are together, there's small variations. We call that just noticeable differences. So the variation could come from our facial expressions, our voice inflections, the way we look at each other, the way we turn our faces towards each other. These are small variations that our autistic kids are not necessarily in tune to monitor those small variations, but they need to learn how to monitor that. So reading and a reading activity is awesome. You can cuddle in bed, you can be face to face, it's safe, and hopefully that would help with any nighttime difficulties, challenging self-esteem behaviors that you have. So we always say in our work that we don't want to focus on the problems. It's easy to focus on the problems, but we want to fulfill their sensory needs, and we also want to work on the foundation. So I think reading activity is good. I think if you take warm bath, that's another one that's good, right?
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly, some kids enjoy some, little deep tissue massage while you're, sitting around with them after dinner, or even while you're reading the book,
Right.
just a little, just some gentle,
Yeah.
here and there.
Yeah. So we have Danielle here, who's an OT mom. She's an OT. She's fabulous. Make sure you guys follow her. Mornings with an OT mom with dots in between. So she was saying that heavy work, it's really helpful. Therefore, a little bit of exercise, maybe having your son or daughter help you carry stuff, cleaning up, carrying books.
Cleaning dinner, moving laundry back and
Yeah.
forth, cleaning up the house.
Heavy work, yeah.
Taking toys back and forth to the room.
Yeah, heavy work.
Yeah, little things like that.
So if you have a therapy ball or anything that spins that would engage them with their proprioceptive, the probe using the core muscles. So that's also good. So I think Danielle was saying heavy work. So anything you can think about as far as family games that involves heavy work. And your OT, you might want to ask your OT for heavy work ideas. I'm sure there are like resources you can find too. I would experiment with that to make it a family activity leading up to bedtimes. So heavy work. In most cases, I think the headbanging kind of just they grow out of it, but it is hard when you have like a 6-year-old still doing this as a protest. But I want to tell you something a little bit different perspective. So if your child is actually headbanging to get your attention, it's actually an important developmental milestones, because 2-year-olds typically do that because they understand, oh, wait a minute, I can't control my parents' actions. So that's how they actually react to that.
Yeah, another way of communicating.
Right,
I haven't got the gift of speech yet, so I'll find other ways to get mom's attention, to
Right.
get a reaction out of her, and in many cases to get what I want.
Yeah. So it's actually the way, of course, they're protesting in a scary way, but it's also a good sign that they're wanting to get your attention when you're talking on the phone, or you're, when you're busy, they want your attention. So that's good. That's good. That means they're connected with you. They just need to channel it in different ways. So what happens when they're headbanging and you're busy with something? So what would be a good way to handle this is, of course, well, for us, we would just let him do it.
Well,
and it would stop.
It's not that we ignored it altogether. As we said, we would go there, we would empathize with him, we
Yeah.
would sit with him,
Right.
but we would not give in to the demand. We would not, inadvertently encourage that behavior.
Yeah.
And eventually, he still used it when he get angry, but it became less and less of a tool for him, a communication tool.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of started to fade out after
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then, for a year after that, again, we'd see the head banging and anger, and even that eventually
Right.
went away.
So parents often do not tell our kids how we feel. So specific to autistics, because we don't read context easily. We don't really know, well, you're busy cooking dinner, and if you don't cook dinner, then I will get even crankier because I'm hungry. You know that I'm hungry. That's why you're busy taking care of dinner. So we just don't read social context and why people do certain things or people's intentions in general. So I think that's what little kids need to develop, that understanding. So another tip I have for parents when they're doing headbanging to protest is to just slowly, I would sit next to them and I would acknowledge, I understand that you want my attention, but when you do that, that makes me worry. So when you're labeling not just the behavior, so when you're doing no headbanging, don't do that, you're actually just labeling the behavior, but you're not spotlighting the context. And what we want to do is spotlight the context, the reason, just the different reasons, as well as how that particular behavior actually affects us as another person in the room, right? So as parents, we don't actually typically say, oh, I feel sad because you scratched me, for example. We tend to just say no scratching and time out, like that, but our kids don't make connections like that. They just don't put the big picture together. They just understand bits and pieces. So the other suggestion I have is to, if the child is calm, then you sit next to the child and say, when you are frustrated and you headbang, it makes mommy feel really, really worried. And then if I have to leave cooking your chicken nuggets and dinner might take longer time, so get used to talking with context if possible. And I'm hoping that over time it might help. I used to draw a lot when our son was younger, because when he would behave in a certain way at school, teachers would just say, oh, he's like naughty, or he wasn't showing remorse, or blah, blah, blah. That wasn't the case. He just didn't get the beginning part of it. The whys. Our kids don't understand the whys, right? So it's our job to really slowly take them back. It might not be right away. Don't do it right away. But once everybody's calm, you want to maybe take time to reflect. If you can do it verbally, that's great. In our case, when he was younger, I had to do like drawings.
Just little self-expressive activities, just an opportunity
Right.
to get some things out that are trapped in there that he couldn't get out, express otherwise.
Yeah. So our follower did say that they were trying to use social stories. So if you do social stories, I think the difference is that you want to use it, you want to draw something as a way to reflect. So don't just use the same picture over and over, using the same like words over and over, because it just doesn't make sense, and they just maybe perceive it as like, oh, it's another demand, blah, blah, blah. So that's I think to get your kids involved in the process, that's what's going to make a difference. So you can use simple drawings, you can use the bubbles, two people. So because it's not about the child, it's, we are very much part of that process of like why the headbanging happened in the first place. So if the function is to get your attention, I think you have to really work on the understanding piece. Okay, so let me stop here and look at, we're hopefully gonna be able to, reading is a good activity, and our kids love to read. Even our 15-year-old daughter loves to once in a while read. So okay, Anita was saying some parents scold and spank. No, don't do that. Meltdown needs to happen. It's just like an accumulation of like feeling overwhelmed due to sensory differences. So the meltdown actually needs to happen. Don't spank, don't scold.
Think about your own meltdowns. Everybody's had those moments where they just need to get something out, and the last thing you want is your spouse or somebody else coming to you and trying to regulate you and, oh honey, you just need to calm down. No, I just need to express something for about 10 minutes. Okay, give me space. Look at your child the same way. They just have something, it needs to get out. If there's a meltdown, Guide them through it, keep them safe, obviously. But let them express. And when they're in a more regulated state later on, about a half hour or so, then you can engage them, talk them through it, find out what was behind it, and then you can have a productive exchange with them.
Yeah, so for adults, for all of us, when we have meltdowns, when we have such a hard day at work, we actually reward ourselves, right? We have a glass of wine, we turn on the TV, why are you making faces? Okay, yeah, we reward ourselves after a hard day, but for our little kids, they're getting punished for their meltdown. So when you think about it, how do we teach our kids to recognize that emotions and the need in a healthier way? And when they're younger, we need to be there to label the emotions and accept the expression of it, whether it's headbanging or other things that might happen as an expression. So the headbanging is an expression, right? And help them connect the dots and figure it out. So hopefully that's enough tips for headbanging. I did want to give some tips for parents to work on prompting less, working towards independence. Or last Instagram live, I talked about leaving breadcrumbs, reminders, because I have to do that all day long, so I remember what I'm supposed to be doing next. So let's just think about how do we prompt less in terms of, let's just say, self-help skills, right? So let's say putting shoes on. That's very, very simple. So it's putting shoes on, or it's something that you get to practice all day long because your kids want to go out and stuff like that. But it's a typical problem because as parents, especially the mommies, we tend to just here, let me just put your shoes on.
Yeah.
Because it's faster. Okay, so Pete, you want to talk about what clues do we give our kids when they were younger?
Oh, they be, when they're excited about doing something like going outdoors. Well, then you have a little bit of leverage over them because you got something you're dangling in front of them, and you can walk up to the front door and open the door, holding hands together, and look out there. Looks like we forgot something.
Yeah.
And if they're not picking up, you look down. Indirect prompting. Helping them to become more mindful. At that point they have to kick their prefrontal cortex into high gear. They need to start putting the people. What is it Mom wants? Why are we not
helping
leaving?
them.
What's going on? Well, she's looking. Oh, I forgot to put my shoes on. And you're helping lay a pathway there, a neural pathway that they can reinforce over time, and that'll start to become more habit for them.
Right. So when we prompt less, we actually help our kids to read the context in a way that's meaningful to themselves, right? To awaken that self-awareness and help them to develop personal agencies, just doing simple things. So putting shoes on is one example that you could just put the shoes in front of the door. That's another breadcrumb you can leave out. Some people might want to put a photo next to the door handle of the shoes. That's fine. That's another breadcrumb. You can do these little things. Just be creative. Bath time routine, maybe instead of getting a towel and wrap it around them automatically, you want to just have the towel nearby as a breadcrumb. So for them to maybe grab it. You can still help them, but you want them to make the initiative. So maybe a good exercise would be to walk around the house, to kind of visualize what you normally do with your child, and just figure out what breadcrumb you want to leave, what clues you want to leave for them. And of course, the trick is to just use the pause and let them figure it out. So don't rush to do it for them, right? Because we already leave them the clues, and the clues help them to realize, okay, this is an opportunity. The clues help them to see the opportunity to do something for themselves. And if your child cannot put on shoes, because putting on a pair of shoes is actually pretty complex, just wait for them to reach for the shoes and give it to you. So it's the idea, that's the goal, is for them to initiate. not actually to do the things. Okay, so we want to, that's the goal, is to help them slow down, read the contacts, see the opportunities, and take an action on it. So that's the goal. Is there anything else? I think
Just remember not to try this, when you're in a hurry to get somewhere.
Yeah.
If you're, hey, we gotta meet grandma, so, hurry, 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 hurry.
Right.
This is something you do, when you've got time to spare, when you've got a good 10 minutes to spend scaffolding and easing them through it. Take your time.
Right. So just like for all human beings, when we're new at something, when the first time you learn how to drive a car, for example, you would drive very, very slowly because you have a lot of components to remember. Where's the brake? Where's this? Where's that? Is the same thing with developing self-awareness and personal agencies. It's going to take time to develop it with partnership with you as mommy and daddy, but only us can work on this. So that's the catchphrase. What breadcrumbs are you leaving for your kids this week? So make sure you share with us. We're gonna upload this IGTV. So Pete and I are parent coaches. We watch video clips from parents from all over the world. So if that's something that would help your family, let us know. Send us a message. Send us your videos. And we love working with parents, helping parents to understand what's going on at home. So I think, do you have anything else to add, honey?
No, thanks for having me today.
Yeah, so we
Hopefully
did it in
we'll do it
30
again.
minutes. 30
Yeah.
minutes. That's
We
good.
beat
Good
the clock,
timing.
yeah.
Okay, thank you guys.
Bye now.
Bye.